Yes, you're listening to Carol Vorderman on LBC. We're talking about food poverty, and particularly to do with children. A lot of varying views here. Neil says, what a load of nonsense. 1 in 4 children in poverty. Who says? How do you define poverty? I haven't time to tell you the exact details, but there is a definition of it. Some left-wing think tank telling us, no doubt, says Neil. I was brought up in real poverty in Glasgow as a kid. People don't know the meaning of poverty these days. The welfare state is generous. I've worked for the Department of Work and Pensions, and there is no real poverty like there used to be, Neil. That sounds a bit like a Monty Python script, but there we go. Jim in Cumbria. I was talking about we grew up on egg and chips, which we did. He said, I was born in 1968 in West Cumbria. I still love egg and chips. So do I. I just fancy it, actually. Right, so let's go to the lines. I want to talk to Daniel now in Brixton. Hi, Daniel.
Hello there, you all right?
Yeah, I'm good. What's your thought on this or experience?
Well, it's interesting what you've got to say about food poverty, but I think generally people just need to learn how to cook.
Well, I don't think anybody's arguing about that. I mean, there have been lots of campaigns for more cookery lessons in school. I was lucky because we had an afternoon a week devoted just to teaching us. But that's not available for children now.
Just experiment. I'm talking about the people cooking food in the house. Like, you don't need a lesson at school.
But
People
what
learn how to
about
cook whole
affording
foods.
the food, Daniel?
Okay, I'll give you an example. Today, I went to Sainsbury's, or one of the big supermarkets. Yeah. I had a cauliflower, broccoli, bean sprouts. All this stuff costs under a $5. I got a bag of rice in the cupboard. I got spices. Trust me, I can cook a whole lot of food for a family of 4 or 5 for less than a $5 every day. No worries. Easily. People just need to learn to cook whole foods.
You begin to sound like 30p Lee here. He said that.
No,
I know you're not. Daniel, I'm joking.
I'm joking. Not 30p Lee.
Can you stay on the line, Daniel? Because I want to talk to Billy now in the Isle of Wight in Ventnor. Billy, what's your experience of this?
Hi, lovely to speak to you this
Billy.
afternoon, Carol, and also to Daniel. As a teacher working in a school, I'm very passionate at coming into this discussion from a point of view of looking after our children. And just off the back of what Daniel's saying, I totally get the sentiments behind what he's saying.
Yeah.
But the reality is there's 15%. That's what this data has announced, isn't it? 15% of people in this country find it difficult to get by. They're in food poverty.
Yes,
and I just want to draw Daniel's attention to the fact that only 4% of this country's population are in out-of-work benefits. So that means that the rest of those millions of people that are struggling to put food on the table are either working or claiming benefits and working at the same time. They're kind of doing a little bit of both.
Yes.
And the reason why I just want to make that point is it's not always easy for someone working full-time. And I get if you're retired, it's quite easy to go around the supermarkets and find all the yellow stickers. But the reality is, unfortunately, there are millions of working adults out there, based on the statistics I've just given you, and you can do your own research yourself as well, that are struggling to put food on the table. And when you're trying to hold down a job and look after 2 kids, you can't go around the supermarket and get a chicken for £2.50. And even if you could, feeding a family of 5 and doing it for the whole week is ridiculous. It doesn't cost a £5.
Billy, what do you think about free school meals for all children?
Oh, do you know what, Carol? You've read my mind. I think that is absolutely something that we have to do. When it comes to education and our children, the data speaks for itself. There was a TES article I read a number of years ago, and it went along the lines of the investment we put in as a state into our children, we get out at the other end in a form of a return. And the number is specifically 11%. If children and education was a brokering service, it was on the...
Yeah.
If it was on the stock
numbers. Listen,
Yeah.
I could
hang on.
easily feed a family of 5
Hang on, Billy.
for $5 a day, easily. Fresh food, whole foods, no dramas. People just need to learn how to cook. It's as simple as that.
But,
you can give these facts all day long.
No,
right?
but they are facts, Daniel.
Well, it might be anecdotal. I could easily cook for a family of 5 for under $5 a day. Yeah?
How many
And
children have you got,
that called
Daniel?
up before that died.
Daniel, tell us about your life. Are you a single man? Are you a father? What's your life?
I'm a single guy, actually, yeah.
Yeah, you don't
But
have
I
children
enough food,
then.
I have enough food to easily cook for another 5 people. Easily.
Yeah, but you don't have to do all of the things that a mother, and particularly a single mother, has to do.
Yeah, but this is a stitch up. She's still got to put it in the oven, or he, sorry. Anyone's got to put it in the oven. They've got to do these things. All right? It's
Daniel,
about time management.
Daniel,
all right?
you're a single man. How do you spend your time? What about having to get up at 6 or half 6 every morning
so what?
and
You
getting the
haven't got
packed
half an hour- you
lunches
don't have
ready
half an hour for
and
your
making
kids?
sure
You
that they
haven't
do
got
their
half an hour for your
homework?
kids in the evening?
And
I just made them beautiful curry, vegetable curry with rice in half an hour.
So what would you say
haven't got half an hour
then?
for your kids?
What would you say then? Matthew Wright, my colleague, had a discussion this morning with new fathers who were suffering quite badly, to be perfectly honest, because you don't have any sleep. You have the babies that are crying. You don't realise how easy you've got your life,
fine.
Daniel.
If you want to call me a single man, I lived in a share house before this last year.
With children?
I've cooked. They act like children, but I've cooked for 5 people in that share house before.
No,
easily.
Daniel, that's like living in a student house. That's entirely different to having
people need to learn how to cook. And if you go to these poorer countries here where they earn way less, they eat better. Why? Because they haven't got Iceland and all these chicken shops in the corner.
That's a big statement.
That is the reason.
That is a big statement,
Yeah, I'm
Daniel.
telling you right now. I'm telling you right now. You travel to these countries where they earn way less. They earn a few bucks a day.
Which countries specifically are those, Daniel?
Oh, well, you travel to some. You'll find them.
Yeah, but where are they, Daniel?
Go to Cambodia.
Cambodia, okay, so that's an entirely different
food.
system, Daniel, where women would stay at home largely, I would imagine. And that's
what's that got to do with what we're talking about?
Well, it's got everything to do, because if you have children, and when you have children, Daniel,
so you should prioritize
when you have
children,
Daniel, you will realise that your entire life your life splits into 2, Daniel.
Every single
BC, which is called before children, and after children, and they are 2 entirely different systems of life.
I made a beautiful curry tonight.
That's very good.
Half an hour. It cost £5.
Yeah, well, I've done the same many times over, Daniel. I have done the same many times over. And but when you have young children and you are desperate for food and desperate for time and desperate for sleep, it's entirely different. Daniel, you're going to make a great husband, I'm sure. Thank you very much, Daniel from Brixton. And Billy, what do you say to that?
Well, thank you for letting me come back in, Carol. I really had to just hold my breath there and listen to what he was saying. I mean, good for Daniel for being able to make a chicken curry. I think he said that about 50 times for a £5. Yeah. But what on earth do you do at breakfast and what on earth do you do at lunchtime? Are you going to have curry 3 or 4 times a day? I'm sorry, it does not cut the mustard. He talks about the fact that apparently you can spend food for £5 a day. So that's £35 a week if you do the maths.
Yeah.
Now, if you go to skintdad.co.uk, I was just having a quick look. It costs the average couple £63.70 a week now in modern times to buy an average weekly shop. So wherever Daniel is shopping, whatever planet in the universe he is going to for his weekly shop, I commend him. But the reality is, in 21st century modern Britain, we do not have enough food going into our children's stomachs. And I think what we need to do is realise that not everybody has the luxury or the privilege of maybe even having £5 in their account. Yeah. It's very good if you can spend £6 or £7 on chicken and a meal for the evening. But a lot of people aren't even living day to day. They're making a choice whether to put money on the electric meter or whether to go down the shop and buy food. So I'm sorry, Daniel, in your self-contained world, I'm afraid, if you pardon the pun, it does not cut the mustard.
Oh, Billy, thank you for saying a lot of things that I would have said myself, but probably far better than I would have spoken. And Mick from Bromley says, hello, Carol, I'm a teacher, and I can tell you, though you probably already know, the dire financial state in primary schools is horrendous. And Rishi Sunak and Gillian Keegan, as well as the laughingstock of Gavin Williamson, are 100% totally to blame. General election ASAP, says Mick from Bromley. Thank you so much, genuinely.